Well, hello and good evening. This is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Faithless Forrest.
And I'm Larry Rhodes. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone, even if you're in East Tennessee.
We wanted to say happy holidays to everyone and remind the viewers that the winter solstice tis the reason for the season. It tis the weather, and it is that happy feeling as we return to longer days. Well, we go over a few announcements. We invite you to start calling in now at the number on your screen. And Larry, why don't you take off with the first?
Okay, the Atheist Society of Knoxville has a happy hour every Tuesday down at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Old City. It's starting right now at 5:30 and meets every week. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table.
All right, and the Rationalists of East Tennessee have a January 9th book club. It is Society Without God, What the Least Religious Nations Can Tell Us About Contentment. It's by Phil Zuckerman, a sociologist, and he's going to explain how the Scandinavian countries, such as Denmark and Sweden, became the least religious countries in the world, and possibly in the history of the world. And how this disproves how, especially what many Christian conservatives argue, that godlessness leads to a society that devolves into lawlessness and immorality. Denmark and Sweden enjoy strong economies, low crime rates, and a high standard of living and social equality.
Low teen pregnancy, too.
And low teen pregnancy. All right.
Now, you can always come to our websites if you want to find out more about our organizations, the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee, knoxvilleatheist.org and therationalist.org. If you want to watch this show online, you or your friends anywhere in the world can watch it live as we're broadcasting on ctvknox.org. You can see it there on the left, right.
There we go. There we go. The magic elf finger at work.
That's right. And you just scroll down about one screen, you'll see the purple window, and we'll start streaming there just a few seconds after 5:30 every Tuesday.
All right. Well, today's program is about the winter solstice. Recently, Christians have been trying to browbeat everyone into recognizing their holiday as if it is the only one. Today, we hope to make the holiday safe for non-Christians. And we won't let Bill O'Reilly and other Grinches steal it from us.
No. Matt Dillahunty from the Austin Atheists in Texas says there's not a war on Christmas. There's a war on everything that's non-Christian about Christmas. And that's the way we feel about it. Most of the things that we look for in Christmas, presents, trees, gatherings at home and fireplaces, things like that, snowmen,
elves,
mistletoe, elves, are basically pagan in origin. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but the purist Christians, the Puritans, when they came to America, they outlawed Christmas, saying that it's pagan and it's not Christian.
And of course, the word Christmas has Christ and it has Mass. And of course, the Puritans were Protestant; they didn't do Mass.
No.
So to the conservative Protestants out there, remember, if you think we have to abide by Christmas, you better abide by that Mass.
That's right.
All right. Let's see. We're talking about the fact that, the holiday season is driven by the solstice. And what is the solstice? The solstice is, there's two of them. There's the winter solstice and the summer solstice. The winter solstice.
The other two are equinoxes.
The equinoxes. That's four all the way around. But the solstice are either the longest day of the year or the shortest day of the year. And today, actually, it was
December 21st is the shortest day of the year.
And we had also an exciting eclipse as well. So a lot of solar things going, or solar system things going on today.
If you'll watch the sun, it will be at its lowest, if you can see it when it is at its lowest today and for the next couple of days, and then it will start dipping even lower and higher and higher in the sky as the days progressively get longer.
I ran a planetarium program last week and set it for this evening. Well, I set it for noon today, and the sun was only about 30 degrees off the horizon, very low.
Yeah.
So that's what makes the short time of the year, and that's why people bring green green holiday trees into
evergreens into the house,
into their homes,
decorate them as a reminder that summer is coming or spring is coming. That they will see green things again, and not too long.
And I like to say it's a relief from all that winter darkness. That's why we put the little candles in them, and nowadays we've got LEDs
Electric
and
lights.
so on that are a whole lot safer.
Right.
All right. Well, another festival or tradition is the burning of the Yule log. That's a Germanic tradition, and you won't find Yule anywhere in the Bible now, will you?
No.
Let's see. Well, what else happens this time of year? Well, the Jewish people have an important
Hanukkah.
holiday for them, and it has to do with it's a historical event, the restoration, I guess, of the second Jewish temple after some kind of a revolt whose name I'm sure I can't pronounce.
And instead of being a single day, it takes a whole week
That's
of
right.
celebration. Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Celebrate a whole week.
Well, here in the United States, I read on Wikipedia that the Christmas tree tradition wasn't widespread. I'm sure that there were, German immigrants that had brought it in. But it was when Queen Victoria in England in like the 1850s had an elaborately decorated tree, and then images of that got published in the United States,
Right.
that the tradition spread here.
Right, and for those of you who aren't history buffs, that's just before the Civil War, and almost 75 years after the country was founded. So we had 75 years of non-Christmas tree Christmases in this country before it was implemented from England, or imported from England.
It made me wonder what was the spread of the Christmas tree in England itself. Had me wondering if any of the founding fathers, I know Benjamin Franklin had visited England, if they had seen Christmas trees, and would there have been some small presence of them. But that's unknown. If anyone of the viewers out there know, we'd like you to give us a call and tell us what you know about the bringing of trees in to celebrate the holiday.
Or if you just like to talk to a couple of atheists who obviously celebrate the season, call on in, 215-2288. We'll welcome your call.
All right. Let's see. We talked about the celestial reason for the season, and we've talked about the importance of lights. Of course, the other thing that's real important that I enjoy is holiday foods, the unusual things that we have.
Eggnog and
Well, I'm very partial to eggnog.
fruit logs or whatever.
There's the fruit cake.
Fruit cake.
And I'm originally from Minnesota, and where there's a large Scandinavian presence, and they have some traditions that when I've told people down here in Tennessee about that seem to be kind of shocking. In particular, my father always bought pickled herring. It's kind of in a vinegar sauce, and I can eat about half a jar of it, and then I've kind of had enough. And then we have an object or some foods that we Minnesotans love to make fun of ourselves. It's lutefisk and lefse. Lutefisk it's a white fish that's been preserved by treating with lye.
Wow.
Now here in the South, there's something that's preserved by treating with lye that just shocks me.
What's that?
Hominy.
Oh, hominy grits.
So in Scandinavian countries, we've got hominy fish, and here it's hominy corn.
There's something that we had, we ate it at certain times of the year, and especially on Christmas, was a chocolate gravy. Have you ever heard of that?
I've never had chocolate gravy.
You eat it for breakfast over hot biscuits with your eggs and sausage. And that's a special thing that we always seem to have on Christmas, as well as certain other holiday times.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, growing up in Minnesota, I'd heard of pecan pie, but it wasn't until my first holiday here in Tennessee that I had pecan pie. And I must say that is
it's excellent.
It's an export that really ought to go up north. All right. Let's see. We've hit on some of the foods. We've hit on
Axial tilt.
the axial tilt. All right. Well, freethinkers have been sort of battling the myth about Christmas for a long time, And a very famous freethinker by the name of Robert Ingersoll had a sermon published back in 1891, and I think if Larry and I, we could try and take turns reading parts of this, we'd like to share it with you, because it's a very strong message about what the joy of Christmas can, well, the holiday season can mean to all people, but the fact that there's a message that comes out of Christmas that's not so joyous. You want to take a start?
The good part of Christmas is not always Christian. It's generally pagan. That is to say, human, natural. Christianity did not come with the tidings of great joy, but with a message of eternal grief. It came with the threat of everlasting torture on its lips. It meant war on earth and perdition hereafter. It taught some good things, the beauty of love and kindness in men, but as a torchbearer, as a bringer of joy, it has been a failure. It has given infinite consequences to the acts of finite beings, crushing the soul with a responsibility too great for mortals to bear. It has filled the future with fear and flame, and made God the keeper of an eternal penitentiary, destined to be the home of nearly all of the sons of men. Not satisfied with that, it has deprived God of the pardoning power.
All right. And yet, it may have done some good by borrowing from the pagan world the old festival called Christmas. Long before Christ was born, the sun god triumphed over the powers of darkness. About the time that we call Christmas, the day begins perceptibly to lengthen. Our barbarian ancestors were worshippers of the sun, and they celebrated his victory over the hosts of night. Such a festival was natural and beautiful. The most natural of all religions in the world is the worship of the sun. Christianity adopted this festival and borrowed from the pagans the best it has. Want to grab?
I believe in Christmas. This is Robert G. Ingersoll still speaking. I believe in Christmas and in every day that has been set apart for joy. We live in America. We in America have too much work, had too much work and not enough play. We are too much like the English. I think it was Heinrich Heine who said that he thought that a blaspheming Frenchman was more pleasing object to God than a praying Englishman. We take our joys too sadly. I am in favor of all the good free days, the more the better.
Christmas is a good day to forgive and forget, a good day to throw away prejudices and hatreds, a good day to fill your heart and your house and the hearts and houses of others with sunshine.
That's right.
Robert G. Ingersoll.
And it's in the darkest of winter that we do this, and pretty much the reason that we do it, because it's the darkest of days.
That's absolutely right. Well, he wrote, that was published in a paper, and it caused quite a firestorm. People, ministers, claimed he was creating blasphemous lies, and he challenged them to say, well, how can the message of Christianity not be in a message of eternal grief? In fact, that's a principal innovation in the New Testament over the Old. The Old Testament did not have the
good news.
It did not have the good news of the eternal hell. The eternal hell is something to be found only in the New Testament.
That's right. And it really wasn't added till several hundred years after the writing of some of the Gospels, when the Bible was actually put together. I believe it was about the time that it was instigated.
The origin of the Bible kind of disappears into myth itself. It was codified, I believe, in the Council of Nicaea in 326 or so.
And many books did not make it into the Bible, and some select few did. And particularly Revelations didn't make it in until after they discussed it for like 100 years and finally allowed it to go in.
I didn't realize that it was a late arrival, but well, it is tacked on at the end.
Yeah.
And it sure is a strange thing compared to many of the others.
Yeah. It's the ravings of a madman if you read it right. I mean, if you read it at all, you can see that it is a ravings. Talking about the Puritan era like we did earlier, the first documented Christmas controversy was Christian-led and began during the English interregnum, when England was ruled by the puritanical